Hi, I'm Ric McCurdy. This is a masterclass on shaping a guitar neck. There are many different ways to do this, but my favorite necks are the Gibson necks of the 60s and 70s. These are all shaped on a belt sander, and I'd like to show you a fast and easy way to do that. Let's look at the tools we'll need for this. First off, we'll start with a specialty tool. This is actually a contour gauge, which I got at a hardware store. It's very easy to find, and you read the back of the neck of a guitar you really like, and you can use this as a mold to figure out where you need to take material off on the guitar neck. The other major tool I use is this, called a Farrier's rasp. This is made by Nicholson. They're very common. It's actually made for trimming horseshoes, but man, does it remove wood quickly. For the fine corners around where the head and the heel are, I use this Nicholson 3-in-1, really fast, cuts great. And this is a nice little trick that Bob Benedetto showed us. This is a piece of 3/4 inch plywood with some really hard sandpaper glued to it. I got 36 grit on it like this, and I'll show you what that's for in a minute. The first step with really shaping the neck is, now I've got the neck up to this level now. I've got the head all done, inlay in, I've got the fingerboard on, got the binding on, and I've cut it to the thickness, final thickness. I like the classic Gibson thickness. You measure your own, find the guitar neck you love. That's the most important thing. I like 0.83 inches on the first fret and 0.9 on the 11th fret. This to me makes the best feeling guitar. What I used to do is I used to cut this on the bandsaw. But now I've picked up my game a little bit, and I've got this metal sanding disc, which are available everywhere. I got mine from AMT in Pennsylvania. I put a 26 grit disc on it, and I made this jig that cuts on an angle so you can get the taper exactly what you like. My customers all want different things, so I have made this one adjustable for, if they want more or less taper from front to back. So once you get that thing sanded exactly the thickness you want, when you're shaping the neck, don't touch the center. That's your final thickness. Use these as a mark and a guide. So here's the belt sander. I put a 36 grit belt on this thing. And what I like to do is I like to take the neck and I like to cut. Count the number of times. Right on the angle, right on that point. I do 10 times like this, 10 times like this, and then take a look and see how we're going. Remember, you don't want to cut yourself, and you may want to tape this part up here if you're doing this for the first time, just in case it gets a little out of control. Let's watch. See that I've gotten the angle I'm taking off. I got it pretty even. The thing with this method is that you tend to oversand the center, because as you go back and forth, you cover this twice as often as you hit each end. You know what I mean? If you count this 3 different sections, you go 1, 2, 3, and it's like 1 pass, 1 pass, 1 pass, 2 pass, 2 pass, 3 pass, 2 pass. You see what I mean? So you tend to accentuate the center. Keep an eye on it, and everything will work out even. Let's continue on. So you got to keep a good close eye on it. You can see that I've made a pretty even band here. And that's really what we want. If the guitar neck has to be perfectly even. So let's keep hacking. So what I want to do now is I want to shape the transition to the head and the heel on this oscillating sander. You can do it by hand. Certainly I did it for many years. You can do it with the rasp and so on and so forth. But let's just remove a lot of material and just get down to where we can fine tune it. So when you're looking at this, please remember that there are no real tricks to this. This is a craft. The more you do it, the better you get at it. But it's just best just to brave it out, and you'll only ruin one neck, and you'll never ruin another one, believe me. So now we've got the rough cutting done on the power tools. We're going to do the rest of the detailing by hand. This is a mahogany neck, so I've got about 10 minutes into it already. Now I'd like to show you the most important tool about shaping a neck, and that's a good guitar to copy. This is a guitar of mine, this is the Milano, and it has the neck that I really like. And so I'm going to make a contour measurement off the back of this and use this while I'm doing the final carving on the new neck. Now I'm going to use the contour gauge to get a contour off the back of this existing guitar neck. So to protect it, I'm going to use a little bit of wax paper. It doesn't really affect the measurement so much. I'm doing it at the 3rd fret, which is good compromise, just gets us going here. Now here's our contour. Now we'll use this to guide me while I'm preparing the next neck. Now here's another jig that I made that's very common. Earl Wine's just got a little thing on YouTube about it right now. It's just a piece of wood, and I just put a flip clamp on it just because it makes it easier for me, and a cam clamp down here, and I've got it on that I've got it on the Stewie Mac post. Which is another amazing tool. You can adjust the height, you can make it comfortable for you, you can spin it. So I've got the contour off a really good guitar and put it on the neck and see where I have to remove material. Right at the cheeks, as always. What makes a guitar feel thin or thick is not so much the distance between the fingerboard and the back of the neck. What makes a guitar feel thick or thin is this line right where the binding is. What I'm going to do is just continue to hog and just check with this to make sure we don't go too far. I'm going to start now with the rasp. So one of the things you have to watch for when you make a neck like this is making dips and ruts in it like this. It's got to be perfectly flat all the way down on every angle. So what I've got is a 6-inch ruler, and I just go over. And I see I got one right here. Means I got to cut here and I got to cut here. But this is actually pretty good for the guy from the suburbs. Yeah, it's high here. So with this in mind, I have a perfectly flat sanding block which we showed earlier, which is 36 grit on a piece of plywood. This will take out the high spots and make everything even. Four in hand. A lot of times you can feel the bumps. Now, just trying to make this a nice straight line. It's really a very dramatic part of the guitar, and it takes a little practice, but it's not that hard. Back to the contour gauge. Rest it on there. Right here. Oh, perfect. Alright, so I just got to do this. Now it's got all kinds of sanding marks on it and file marks, and I like to take just a regular cabinet scraper just to clean it up and see if there are any big gouges or anything I need to take care of right now. Also, you can get rid of that last little rut in the middle. Can you see that original sanding mark from the first step in the process? Still trying to avoid it. Alright, we've got it mostly shaped now. We're going to do a little fine tuning. This is a round dowel, some 80 grit sandpaper. I'm really going to try to get these lines perfectly straight and make the transition real nice. This may take should take about 10 minutes. This is critical. You really have to go slow in this little point. You want it to be perfectly rounded. I made a $10,000 guitar for a client, and he said this part is his favorite part of the whole guitar. So here's a nice tip that really makes a guitar feel really, really comfortable. I'd like to thank John Hawk in Santa Barbara for showing me this one, is that most great guitar necks, if you measure them carefully, they're asymmetrical. They're not perfectly rounded like cut with a cutter. And the way that you get this is you put a piece of 80 grit sandpaper on the palm of your hand and hold it like you're holding the guitar. Then you sand it just the way you would hold it when you're playing it. Always paying more attention to the ends than to the middle, because it's easy to take material out of the middle. This is really the fine-tuning that makes them switching hands, but I'm still holding it the same way. This is what makes a guitar play amazing. Feels like you owned it in a previous life. This is going to make the neck a little asymmetrical, just like the shape of your hand. And I like to narrow it down right where the glue line for the binding is. Right where the glue line of the fingerboard is. That's what makes it feel small or large. Now here I am using a straight edge to get the transition to the neck in just the right place. Here's the nut right here, and you really want the neck to feel perfectly the same all the way from the heel to right under the nut. You don't want to get it wider or thicker. It really just makes it feel amateurish or homemade. So let me see if I can get you to see if I can make it see this. You see how it's coming up right here? See this? That's where I want to cut. It's right there. And these fine things are the things that really make it feel good. Yeah, see? Better, not there, but right here. See, it's better. So now still going to work a little bit here and here. Now we're going to do the same transition here on the heel end, where you take a straight edge. In this case, I'm using my cabinet scraper. And as you go along the shaft, you see it's starting to pick up right here. You just want to do it all in the same place, just so it all makes a nice transition. That's pretty good. It's a little bit at the heel there. The Jimmy D'Inquisto guitars that I worked on, that felt just as small here as it did here, just the way it was shaped. It wasn't size, but this little transition, it really makes the guitar feel good or bad. Spend some time on it and you'll be well rewarded. Okay, let's take it off the jig and see what we've done. Now, like I said, the thing that really makes a guitar feel large or small is the transition between the binding and the wood of the neck. And so, when you get to the point we're at right now, what you try to do is can you see the binding looking from the back? And if you look very, very closely, you can see the tiny bit of white binding. I mean, you can turn it and see it faster. But I'm just saying, it's just a bare hint of the binding, and that's what makes a guitar feel comfortable. If your necks are coming out clunky and they feel like shovels, it's more than likely this tiny area right where the glue line of the fingerboard meets the body. Now, I'm going to shape this a little bit more with 220 because it's got a little ridge to it, but I really can see the white of the binding. So here she is, all done and ready to go. So I hope that answers some of your questions about hand making a guitar neck. If you have any further questions or clarifications, please don't hesitate to contact me. I will be making more of these masterclass sessions, so if you have any suggestions or things you'd like to see, please let me know. Many wonderful people have helped me along my way to this spot. Phil Kubicki, John Hawk, Seymour Duncan, Bob Benedetto, John Monteleone, Bob Jones, all the great repairmen, all the wonderful people I've talked to. And if I can help someone else get them over a little tiny problem they're having, I'd be delighted. So keep making sawdust and keep making guitars.